Scientists are finding out what killed the dinosaurs, and it's a real flood of information.
Yay, and Candace want everyone to know that white lives matter, and that is racist.
Gavin Newsom put up abortion billboards around the country, and John MacArthur has some thoughts.
Elon Musk is buying Twitter at the agreed-upon price of $44 billion, but with all the inflation lately, it's really like 5 cents.
We made fun of progressive Christians, and the comments are worth it.
All this and more on
The Bee Weekly.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Babylon Bee
Welcome.
podcast. I'm hanging out with my buddies Brandon and Emma.
Hi,
How you
I'm
doing,
Brandon.
Emma? How you doing, Brandon? What's going on?
You know, it's been a week. It's been a pretty busy week here at the
been a
Bee,
very
but
busy
it's
week.
been a fun week. We got a lot done, a lot of fun sketches upcoming. Be on the lookout.
Lots of great video sketches we shot this week. So, although I managed to avoid all the shoots.
You were not there for any of them.
So, I was really busy. I had a board game to play during the zombie one.
You're always there in spirit and in your writing.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I just kind of like, but it's we have a great team, so I just write something and I go, here, you know, you guys go do something with that.
That's why I'm here.
That's what you do, man. So that's a lot of fun. So this week we're going to talk about movies that need a remake. Some of our sketches are going viral now, and we will talk about them.
Yeah, that's
like
great.
we just kind of did, but we'll keep talking about them. And we've got some hate mail. We did this Christianity Light sketch, which I'm sure we'll play a little bit later on. And the hate mail was fantastic.
It was. A lot of people don't like being called out for not, adhering to Christian beliefs.
Yeah, the Bible,
Yeah.
just, the Bible, the whole Bible thing. Our managing editor, Joel Berry, assistant to the regional editor, had a conversation on Twitter with Phil Vischer, the creator of VeggieTales.
Oh, how'd that go? Was it pleasant? Was it a nice back and forth?
Phil Vischer has a strange position on abortion, and it seems to me like he doesn't like abortion, or maybe he wants to say that it's bad, but he also is like scared of saying that, and a lot of it has to do with his opinions on race. Like he feels like if the majority of black Christians in America are pro-choice, then to condemn abortion wholesale is to condemn the black church. So it's really rooted in his kind of CRT, you know. But I don't understand. Like it's different segments of the population have different sins at different times. You know that segment of society happens to fall victim to. The white church has sin that's, and I even hate saying the white church and the black church. You know, so it's the church.
Yeah. Why would you segregate it like that, Kyle?
Yeah.
That's Phil Vischer. He's the one.
Yeah, he's slowly ruining my childhood because I love VeggieTales.
He's quickly ruining my childhood.
Were you guys VeggieTales aficionado?
Yes.
Yeah, I was too. Were you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I felt bad like about a month ago when we were on the podcast. We were talking about Mary Rice Hopkins, and you made a comment. You said, "Oh, she's still a Christian." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Unlike Phil Vischer, and I felt really bad about that. And
now you don't feel so
now
bad.
I don't anymore.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as hateful bigot Brandon, but I do think it's very troubling when people say stuff like that. And but I can still like disagree with Phil Vischer and enjoy original VeggieTales because I do think that was classic. There was just something about the offbeat humor that Christian stuff was really lacking, because you had Donut Man that was like everything was very pointed, and VeggieTales had jokes just for the sake of
it was
points.
highly entertaining.
Yeah.
Though Phil Vischer also did have a thought on Twitter. He was saying, when you think about it, though, Bob and Larry weren't actually vegetables; they were both fruits.
Did you say that?
He said something along those lines. I might be paraphrasing.
Was he trying to be funny or make a?
We'll see.
Yeah, you can't call a group of people fruits anymore.
Yeah.
Very
Phil
progressive.
Vischer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what am I going to sing when I lose my hairbrush now?
It's true.
There's plenty of lost hairbrush inspired songs that you can still.
That song gets sung often in our house every morning because the kids lose their hairbrush, and I'm just singing it walk around the house. So.
And Phil Vischer's progressivism will never take that away from us.
I actually have to pay him royalties every time
Yeah,
I sing it and walking around the house, which is sad.
Don't make fun of me. I do that.
You pay royalties?
No, but I sing that
No,
song
I do. I'm
very
literally
often.
saying I do. I'm
Oh, okay.
agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Speaking of paying royalties, shop.babylonbee.com has shirts, books, mugs, tumblers, hats, and stickers. It is great. It's so great that I forgot to put on the shirt, and then someone came in Can I say his name? Someone came in and said, you should put on that Facts shirt. And I said, nah. But it's really good. It is good. I was just too lazy to change.
I saw it for the first time yesterday. They turned out really well.
It did turn out great. So we've got a Thomas Sowell Facts shirt. We have a Truth is Not Hate Speech shirt, which I was wearing yesterday. I love that shirt. And I'm a Good Person Who Supports the Current Thing shirt. You know, that's cool. And we also have a Babylon Bee book bundle where you can get the Babylon Bee Guide to Wokeness and the Babylon Bee Guide to Democracy for one moderate price.
I love that alliteration. Babylon Bee book bundle.
The Babylon...
Only way to make it better is if you buy the Babylon Bee book bundle.
And put it in a bindle.
You could do that too.
And then it's a bought Babylon Bee book bundle.
Correct. Yeah. Do it now.
And we've also got Thomas
Take a picture of you with your books in the bindle, and we'll send you a Sizzler gift. No, we won't. We actually won't. Sorry, I can't make those promises.
We have a Clarence Thomas Hope t-shirt and Conservative Tears tumbler, which Brandon is sipping out of right now. So if you want to support the Babylon Bee podcast, do that. Another way you can support the Babylon Bee podcast is by subscribing to the Babylon Bee podcast YouTube channel at youtube.com/the Babylon Bee podcast. Let's see what's in the news this week. Treasure in heaven is great, but it's not going to buy you a tank of gas. So let's take a moment to briefly review the current state of our economy and the global effect the war between Russia and Ukraine has had. We're in for a tough year here, and Biden's printing and spending could be catastrophic for the US dollar and the market. That's why a growing number of financial analysts are recommending you diversify with gold and silver now. And the only company we recommend is Allegiance Gold. Our friends at Allegiance Gold can help you protect your IRA or 401k with physical gold and silver and have it delivered securely right to your door. The team at Allegiance Gold takes the time to educate their clients on the importance of having a financial portfolio that's diversified with gold and silver. Allegiance Gold has been one of the top precious metals firms in the nation for their commitment to protecting your hard-earned savings. They have an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, a 5-star rating with TrustLink, and they're AAA rated with the Business Consumer Alliance. If you act now by calling them and you mention Babylon Bee, we'll even give you $500 of free silver on a qualified purchase. Call 844-790-9191 to get this exclusive offer. Or you can visit allegiancegold.com/B. That's B-E-E. Call 844-790-9191. That's 844-790-9191. Or visit allegiancegold.com/BEE.
What's in the news this week?
So Kanye West and Candace Owens wore a White Lives Matter shirt and featured an image of Pope John Paul II. Why the Pope?
Why is the Pope?
I listened to Candace talk about this too, and she didn't get to the Pope part when I stopped listening. But I don't get the Pope part. And
does anyone, are there theories circulating?
Why is there the Pope? And it's not even the current Pope, right? Is that the current Pope?
Perhaps we can ask Kanye when he's on the podcast next.
Is that the current Pope?
I always feel like Francis should be the name of the
Francis
Pope.
is the current Pope. Yeah.
Is that, okay.
Yeah, I'm a Protestant. We don't care about your
why
fake.
Why would any Pope be on there?
He's just a pastor of a church in Rome. He has nothing to do with me.
We've just offended a large portion of our audience.
He can write it. We need to generate more hate mail. So
maybe
it's one of those things where you buy a shirt and you think it just has a cool thing on the front, and then you get it and it has like a giant thing on the back.
Maybe maybe they just thought of this really last minute and they didn't have any blank shirts to screen print onto. And they're like, "Hey, we got these Pope shirts. Can we just add the text to that?"
Oh man, the Anti-Defamation League categorizes the phrase as a hate slogan used by white supremacists, including the KKK.
How crazy is this? How crazy is that that's considered a hate slogan?
It is pretty crazy.
Versus the ideology that has destroyed hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of property, that has killed people, that has burned down neighborhoods.
It's Blue Lives Matter.
Talking about MAGA.
Exactly. I'm talking about January 6th.
Oh, I did it.
Ow, your ring hurt me.
Sorry.
Well, that's cool. So gas prices hit a record high of $6.46 in Los Angeles, soaring past its June high. Oh, and we have a personalized picture. This is a picture near Dan's house. So you could probably triangulate this and figure out where Dan lives now. And one of the prices, the most expensive one, credit or without car wash or something, is $7.09. I don't think I've seen it cross 7 yet. This is the first I've seen it cross 7.
Do you think they would like intentionally skip over between 665 straight to 667 just to avoid the imagery?
I have not seen a 666.
Yeah.
I have seen 665 and 9/10, and I took a picture of it and I said, "Not today, Satan." And I think they do. I do think they skip 666. If you see a 666
Like-
gas,
It's like
please send it
13,
to us. Yeah.
floor 13 on a hotel.
Yeah,
where
they don't
just
do-
skip
They're
over it.
okay with it being that high, but they're not okay with that number.
Well, the other thing is, I think they're usually odd numbers, aren't they? Always they always end in like 9 or 5 or 1.
Okay, I never noticed that.
So
Well, I know that it's below $3 in Florida. So it's not an everywhere problem. It's just California.
but it does go up at a similar, where it's just that we have that additional dollar tax or whatever
taxes.
added on.
But I don't think it's the taxes. I've been reliably informed by Gavin Newsom that it's because of corporate greed from the oil
corporate
companies
Yeah.
and nothing else.
Right.
Do you guys remember when Biden was like, This is my message to gas stations. Take down your prices.
Stop it.
Do it now.
Stop it.
Like, what is this?
This is
What
my message.
What is this clown world?
Do it. Just stop it. Just stop it now.
Stop.
Well, I posted, I went to a gas station. I posted a picture, and I had my friends from Hawaii and New York both telling me that our prices are higher than theirs.
I think they are.
I've seen other people take pictures when they're at the gas station, which I think is kind of fun.
Yep.
Because I thought it was just me and Dan.
Should just carry around a little poster board with an "I did that" and get in their picture.
I don't want to be in that, but yeah,
Yeah, well,
it's crazy. It's how could it be higher here than in Hawaii?
Because of Gavin Newsom. We need to drill his head for oil.
I was literally about to say that.
Didn't you pitch that as a headline
did.
recently?
I
Yeah, I
did.
just stole your headline.
0 likes.
Oh man, it's sad. I'll go give it a like. So, and the weird thing too is that, Biden was claiming credit for gas prices coming down a few months ago, and now it's just radio silence. Like no, like, and they just kind of crept back up, and the news didn't report on it. It wasn't made a big deal. It was just like, oh yeah, we're doing $7 again. That's what we're doing. So, corporate greed, really sad.
And it's the California restrictions where you have to get the oil from California, so it just limits your supply. They could just change those rules in an instant, and it would solve the problem.
It's almost like taking responsibility for your bad decisions.
Yeah, I mean, Christianity Light would teach you not to do that. So
Stay tuned. Christianity Light.
You know what I learned for the first time
what?
this week? Gavin Newsom considers himself a Christian.
I've never
What?
heard that.
Is it just in public or?
Well, he's related to Nancy Pelosi.
Pelosi's a Catholic, so is he a Catholic?
Catholic, yeah.
Okay. Not a Christian, a Catholic.
I stand corrected.
That's strike 2. Whoever lives in the Catholic audience.
John MacArthur released a fire open letter to Gavin Newsom after Gavin put up billboards around the country promoting California as a place to go get an abortion, and even used scripture to say abortion is loving your neighbor. So is this part of his Catholicism ideology? Or
it's part of his Antichrist theology. But yeah, that story last week made me absolutely sick to my stomach.
Dude, when I saw that billboard, I thought it was maybe photoshopped or someone was it was one of those outrage things. Someone's not true.
What kind of approval processes did that go through? And finally,
he just thought he was totally and he ran this in Mississippi or something. So he's trying to slam and just throwing it in their faces. How disgusting.
But Johnny Mac had something to say.
Johnny Mac said, "You have not only failed in your responsibility to punish evildoers, you routinely turn it on its head, rewarding evildoers and punishing the righteous."
In mid-September, you revealed to the entire nation how thoroughly rebellious against God you are when you sponsored billboards across America promoting the slaughter of children whom he creates in the womb.
My concern, Governor Newsom, is that your own soul lies in grave, eternal peril. Each one of us will give an account of himself to God.
My plea to you, sir, is that you would not let it come to that you would not go to that day of judgment apart from receiving forgiveness and righteousness through faith in Christ alone.
Why put scripture on the billboard? Why not just put a evil
Because he's just throwing it in your
billboard?
face, because he's an evil person, that's why. Because that's what Satan does.
It doesn't even make any sense to you.
He was trying to convict Christians that they need to support crushing the skulls of babies, severing their spines, and chopping them up while still alive. also severing their vocal cords so they can't scream.
Well,
Love your neighbor.
Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor, y'all.
and it's on the ballot coming up soon. A vote. It's like Proposition 1, if to make abortion in California part of the Constitution.
Just absolutely disgusting.
And it doesn't even have any limitations to it. It's just automatic that any late-term abortion would be automatically legal and part of the Constitution.
Democratic Congress would not vote yes on the Born Alive Protection Act. So
was that to provide medical care for
babies that were born alive, surviving an abortion, a failed abortion. So that's where we are. On that happy note, guys, the Babylon Bee podcast. You come here for your.
I don't get worked up about too much, but when I saw that scripture, and I really appreciated that MacArthur does seem to have a care for Newsom's soul. You know, he's like, you need to repent.
Right.
I thought that was pretty cool. So, speaking of the wrath of God on horrible people and countries, we now believe that a global tsunami is what killed the dinosaurs, according to secular scientists. An asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs also triggered a global tsunami, according to CNN, which is cool.
So next up, we're going to find out that dinosaurs didn't exist either.
No, they did. It's just Satan planted the bones.
That's not what Ken Ham said.
What?
He had a different word for dinosaur.
Like
Dinosaur kind.
Dinosaur kind.
No,
Did he call them dragons?
Was it animal kind or
reptile
something?
kind or something like that?
Well, he said the word dinosaur was invented in mid-1900s.
Yeah, but that's just an etymological point.
Yeah, that's the word.
And
So
also,
Ken Ham 1, Bill Nye 0.
That's right. And also, an ancient city's destruction by an exploding space rock may have inspired the biblical story of Sodom and Gomorrah, according to, this looks like Huffington Post or something. So they found out that around the time of Sodom and Gomorrah, a whole city exploded in the area, and they're saying, the biblical story was inspired by this.
Inspired by it, like so many stories were inspired. Had flood mythology. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Wiped out with a blast 1,000 times more powerful than an atomic bomb. That's something. What kind of power in the universe could be more powerful than an atomic bomb?
Elon Musk. His lawyer announced that he is going through with the $44 billion purchase of Twitter.
Yay.
Woo. Will Babylon Bee be on Twitter this time next week? Stay tuned and find out.
We're about to find out. What should our first tweet back be?
We've had a few ideas.
Should I say it here?
Sure.
Well, I wanted to do Doctor of the Year is Jill Biden.
I like the idea of referencing the Rachel Levine tweet somehow. I also like just, hey, what's going on, guys? I also
What's new?
Adam was pitching the idea of like just totally slamming Elon Musk as our first tweet and being like, just to see if he's really going to support free speech.
Yeah, to test free speech.
That feels like something the Onion's going to do, though. So we have a banger of the week.
Banger of the week.
Not to be outdone by Lizzo, Beyonce performs concert wearing George Washington's teeth.
That's a lovely picture.
Terrifying.
I had to Photoshop her cleavage out.
Terrifying. Good.
I messaged Joel because it had been up all day, and I looking at it and was like, you can't, So I prevented the young men from lusting.
She looks like the Hessian from Sleepy Hollow, starring Johnny Depp and Christopher Walken as the Hessian.
Chandler did a good job as her voice. If you go over to the B Radio podcast, there's a good impersonation of Beyonce's teeth
I believe
performance.
black people should be played by black voice actors.
How do you know that Chandler's not black?
Because I know her. She's white.
And when you know someone, you know their race.
You do know their race.
However, even though that was the banger of the week, this one should have been the banger of the week. Phil Vischer pens fun new VeggieTales episode, Laura Carrot gets an abortion.
I know why that didn't do well.
Yeah, it's
a lesson in nuance.
I would feel weird about liking it.
Yeah, nobody would share
Because it's
it.
like, yay, a carrot gets an abortion.
Because baby
And
carrot.
it's vegetarian.
Because the joke is baby carrot,
And so on that subject, our very own Joel Berry took to Twitter to eviscerate Phil.
Yeah.
Get it?
So Someone asked, I got it. So someone asked Phil Vischer, do you support legal abortion in instances of pregnancy resulting from rape? And he says, I don't have a specific position. Can I do a Bob the Tomato voice? I can't do a Bob the Tomato. I don't have a specific position, but probably if it's early in the pregnancy.
That sounds like a specific
That's
position.
a pretty, yeah. And Joel shared it and said, remember, kids, God made you special and he loves you very much, unless you're a product of rape. This is just so dark, man.
Yeah.
And then James White, not the football player, the apologist, weighed in. He's quoting some early church fathers that say things like, you shall not abort a child or commit infanticide. And that's in response to Twitter's so annoying because it's like, that's the nested count. Yeah. But he's quoting Phil, who said that, Christians throughout the years have disagreed on this.
And there was a whole big back and forth with Phil Vischer and a ton of other people. And Phil Vischer said, right, but a majority of Christians approve of some exceptions to an abortion ban, to which Joel replied, congrats, Phil, you're in the majority.
Joel's just going to town. And Phil was getting pretty hardly ratioed on pretty severely ratioed on these tweets. So, it's nice that Joel's just ethering the creator of VeggieTales.
I wish they would do a debate.
Oh, that wasn't the bomb of the week? That really was then should have been the banger?
It should have been the banger. Okay. Yeah.
According to
they should have done a...
Gotcha.
I agree with
Phil Vischer never has people on the podcast that he disagrees with. So it's just a little mini echo chamber.
Yeah.
Like us?
Yeah. We should debate him.
Yeah. Get Phil Vischer on and debate him. Oh,
has he been on before?
No, we had the good one, the Larry, the guy who was
the good one.
Mike Naraki came on.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's our bomb of the week.
Bomb of the week.
Zelensky asks Ben Stiller if he can put him down as a reference on his NATO application. Wah, 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 wah.
Now it's time for Sizzler Facts.
No commentary on that one.
I don't really care. I just don't care.
20 weeks ago, we debuted a new feature to the podcast called Sizzler Facts, and it was met with overwhelming praise. This week's Sizzler Fact: Trevor Noah once referred to COVID plexiglass as the sneeze guards from Sizzler. Now, we have some questions about this. How familiar is Trevor Noah with Sizzler? Has he ever been to a Sizzler? Does he fully comprehend that indisputable fact that Sizzler offers choices? Does Trevor know where former Sizzler CEO Carrie Cramp is right now?
Will Trevor be
spending a lot of his newfound free time at local Sizzler restaurants?
It's time for Sizzler Comments.
Sizzler Comments.
Sent to us by Alyssa. Hey, I've got a Sizzler fact for your podcast. No, you have a comment. I was folding my laundry watching Everybody Loves Raymond as a 30-something-year-old mom and wife does on a Friday evening, and Ray makes a joke about Sizzler in regards to his wacky father, who is clearly a fan. Since last week's Sizzler fact was that one of your employees went there with his family, I thought this would be a good step up. Or this may be a step up. Season 1, Episode 6, 1425 mark. Peace.
Now you know where to
we
get
can look it up. Yeah.
Sizzler in the media. We should do an upcoming Sizzler in the movies for Sizzler Facts.
Yeah. We go in Sizzler.
We go in Sizzler.
Okay.
Well, this has been Sizzler Comments.
I like that you said, I've got a Sizzler fact, and you were like, no, this is a comment. We do not grant you the rank of Sizzler fact.
You don't get to declare Sizzler Fact.
It must be. There's
earned.
a process. There's a process.
Yeah, you can't promote your comment as a
fact.
fact.
One does not simply walk into Sizzler Facts.
Well, this has been Sizzler Comments. Dwell is a Bible app we've fallen in love with. Their mission is inspired by the psalmist, who encourages us in Psalm 119 to hide the Word of God in our hearts. Dwell has built the most beautiful listening and reading experience for the Scriptures. Everyone says so. They have over a dozen new recordings of the Bible. They've handpicked voices that will engage and inspire you. And they have the best versions of the Bible too. In addition to a world-class listening experience and an exclusive read-along mode, Dwell is now the best way to read the Bible on your phone. In fact, studies have shown that recall is significantly increased when listening and reading are combined. In short, a multi-sensory approach leads to quicker and deeper learning. Go to dwellapp.io/BabylonB to get 10% off a yearly subscription or 30% off Dwell for life.
Dwell for life.
And now we're going to do a perennial classic, a list segment. We are going to list our top movies that need a remake. Now, I find this an interesting topic, and I hope a few of you do too. Because to me, whenever I see lists about movies that need a remake, it's movies that people really liked. And I say, yes. So why do you want them to be remade?
Lion King wasn't good enough, so they
Right.
had to make it with
One of the
CG
greatest
lions.
animated movies of all time.
Aladdin was a terrible movie. Therefore, let's make it with Will Smith.
Right. So if you look up, go Google lists of movies that need to be remade, and they're all movies that absolutely should never be touched. Princess Bride, I mean, don't remake it. Like, don't remake that movie. But
The Never-Ending Story.
That's on my list.
yeah, Neverending Story, don't touch it. Just don't mess with.
Why wouldn't you touch that movie?
You
It's-
can make your case
it's
in
ra-
a second. You can make your case in a second, Emma. But I feel that the real movies that need to be remade are the ones that had a ton of potential, great concept, or maybe a great property, and then boom. And the problem is when you have a movie that does terribly or isn't executed well, Hollywood won't touch it for 20 years, and you have to wait. You know, some time has to go by. So I've got a few good ones. I picked like 10. Dan told me to only pick 3, so I picked 10. But I'll do 3 and then some honorable mentions.
Okay.
Yeah, I did 3.
Yeah.
I have a few extras, though. So.
Yeah.
How many did you do, Emma?
I have 3 because one of them is now eliminated based on your whole spiel.
No, you can do.
I'm still gonna say that.
No, you do it. He was just mocking you. So Emma's going to go first and give us her movie that needs to be remade.
Okay, I think The Never-Ending Story could be remade because even though people enjoyed it as a kid, it's not something that you can watch now. Like you can't get through it now because of the weird dragon dog and the special effects that are just really cheesy. And so I think if it was made now, it would just be, you could continuously watch it in the future. And if it was made I don't know, better.
Do you think though that some of the low special effects are like part of the charm of some of those
I do.
classics?
I
Maybe
personally
for like the Labyrinth, I think it works still,
But not-
and I
not
could still
Never-Ending
watch it now. But I can't watch the Never-Ending Story now.
I think in the age of, and don't get me wrong, I actually do have a great appreciation for CG. I know a lot of people just slam anytime they see CG, they hate it.
If it's done well,
I actually appreciate it, but there's something about practical effects. There's something about puppets. Even though puppets don't look like real creatures, one can argue Maz Kanata looks more like a real creature than a puppet, but there's something organic about that puppet. So
That's like the weird creatures in Labyrinth or Fraggle Rock. But I think that the Never-Ending Story could be made better today. I still think you should use as much practical effects and environment than CGI.
yeah.
But now that we could make a dragon that doesn't have a dog head, like let's do it.
So in your remake, who would sing the theme song?
I don't know.
Would it be Ed Sheeran,
Or no one.
Trevor Noah?
Beyonce wearing George Washington's teeth.
Yeah, no big people like that. Because
No big people, no Lizzo.
No, no Beyonce that's gonna sing it. No Lizzo.
Playing James
Lizzo
Madison's
playing
flute.
James Madison's flute, playing the Never-Ending Story.
Never-ending story.
Now, as you were talking, I remembered one other introductory comment I wanted to make, and that is, I don't think Hollywood would actually do a good job at remaking any of these movies today, because I feel like there was a tipping point like 4 or 5 years ago where all remakes just became like, okay, they're gonna race swap, they're gonna gender swap, they're gonna inject representation.
I think generally Hollywood as a single conglomerate entity is less interested in storytelling than they are in money making and pandering and ideology.
Right. But that being said, there are some exceptions. If the right
of course,
director, the right studio got it,
definitively.
like Dune is something that
Christopher
Dune is something 5 or 6 years ago I would have said absolutely needs to be rebooted. It was rebooted and it was done great. It was awesome. So
Yes, and that was much better than the David Lynch
yeah,
version.
right, absolutely.
Despite the fact that it had a superior score by Toto.
So do you want
So
to go?
my number 1 is The Hobbit trilogy, and this to me was one of the biggest cinematic disappointments because the potential
Yes.
of a 2 to 3 hour film telling the story of the Hobbit, and I'll grant maybe a 2-part. I don't even like doing a 2-part, but if you want to do a long movie, a 3-hour movie, 3.5-hour movie, the story of Bilbo Baggins, self-contained, you can watch it with your kids in that universe with the same feel as Peter Jackson's universe, I would I would love that. And I was so excited when it was announced.
Yeah.
And I didn't even see any of them in the theaters because it just immediately was obvious to me.
I've never seen the third movie. I never
and
finished
not
it.
worth watching. Not worth watching.
What ruined it for you? Because I think part of the charm of the original is that it's more practical than it is CGI. And they really got into 3D movies.
Well,
and they thought that was going to be big.
One of the biggest things about it was, well, I mean, there was the whole weird 48 frames thing that I don't know why he decided to do that. But
I
also,
saw that in Sam's Club. It was playing on one of the big TVs, and I was like, this looks like a soap opera. Like, why? Why are they doing this?
But also, I kind of blame the studio for this, and I think Peter Jackson himself was moderately disenfranchised by this decision. I could be wrong, but the fact that they were like, this is literally a money printer, and so they decided to make 6 pages an entire movie, a 3-hour movie, just expounding upon it far more than it needed to.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if I said this on podcast before, but a few years ago I was doing a reread of The Hobbit, and I was like, oh, it might be fun to play the soundtrack while reading it. I was literally reading the story faster than the soundtrack. And I was having to skip forward in the soundtrack to be at the same part I was in the book. And I literally read the book faster than the soundtrack.
It's a 250 to 300 page little kid's book you can sit down and read in one sitting.
Yep.
And it was 3 movies. It was 10 hours long.
Yep.
No. I agree with the CGI comment. The physics, it feels like a cartoon world. When by the time they get to the goblin hole and they're like falling and surfing down falling bridges, and you're like, oh, okay, so these people can't die. So why do I care?
Mm-hmm.
It would have redeemed itself in the barrel river sequence if someone had shouted out, "Do a barrel roll."
That would have kicked it up 1 star. Yes.
All right. How many are we doing?
That was my first, and she's doing well. I think we're trying to list 3, and then I'll rattle off some honorable.
Then I will start with a completely obscure pick that I don't think any of you will get, and that is The Pirates of Penzance. It's a Gilbert and Sullivan classic musical that is witty, it's brilliant, inspired a lot of Animaniac songs, fantastic music, and it's absolutely hilarious. The 1983 version with Kevin Kline, Angela Lansbury, and Rex Smith is the best version to date, and it is terrible. I mean, it's very good, but it's also like very poorly done. And they were playing with this release model where they released it on video at the same time as theaters. 1983. I don't know what they were thinking back then, but it bombed. It looks like a glorified high school stage production visually, but that
and I feel like musicals are making a comeback in the theaters. You feel like that would be something that they would do.
But here's another note for Hollywood: stop casting non-singers in musicals. Just stop it.
I like Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron.
I thought, Hugh Jackman was supposed to be a singer. Like, didn't he start off as
a singer,
Broadway?
but that doesn't mean that you can sing all things in excellence.
I didn't like him in Les Mis.
He was quite bad.
I don't know why I was so disappointed, but
Because he was bad.
But I thought, well, before you saying that, I thought everyone seemed to love him in that movie.
Oh, well, I think people are entranced by his face and general charm and persona. He is a charming fella.
I was kind of hoping that your list would all be Pride and Prejudice. Number 1, movie needs to be rebooted. Pride and Prejudice.
My wife knew Hugh Jackman
2,
personally and said he was a very, very amiable man.
Oh, good. He seems like a nice guy.
And he's going to be in Wolverine, another Wolverine movie or something.
Is he?
There's a rumor
I thought
of
Logan
that.
was like the...
I thought so, but there was a rumor about it.
Okay. What is your number 2, Emma?
Number 2 is A Wrinkle in Time. It was done in 2018, surprisingly, and I didn't even know about it. But
The book is so good.
Yeah, I remember liking the book a lot as a kid, and when I saw the trailer, it just didn't really match any of the characters that I had envisioned.
You didn't picture Oprah Winfrey when you read the
No,
book?
I pictured someone weird and quirky, and I don't
Wasn't
think
Oprah in it? Am I making that up?
Oprah
was
is
in it.
definitely in it, and it took $100 million to make it, and it only made $30 million.
Total.
But I bet you that half that, like $50 million, went to Oprah being in it.
Yeah.
That's such a disaster. And it's so sad. And it has such strong Christian themes in the original book that they just ripped out.
So I've got thoughts on that.
Oh, go ahead.
So I do love Wrinkle in Time. It's always going to be one of my top 30 books, stories. Very fond memories of it in my childhood. I did read it again a few years ago, and I used to think Madeleine L'Engle had stalwart Christian principles written into her books. she's kind of a universalist.
She is, but I don't know at the time if she was.
Wrinkle in Time was universalist.
You think so?
Wrinkle in Time mentions so when they're talking about kind of the pathways to heaven, the enlightenment, essentially, she mentions
I do remember that. Yeah,
Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad. Maybe not Muhammad, but Gandhi, I think.
I guess it's relative because if I'm reading that as Christian fiction, then I'm like, oh, this is heresy.
Right.
If I'm reading it as a secular book, and I'm like, oh, there's kind of a bit of a Christian
It's a
theme.
brilliant story,
Right.
a great start to a series that quickly went downhill.
I felt like there was some predestination themes.
Once we got to the Noah book with the little elephants, I was not
into it.
Not into it.
Okay. All right. My number 2 is John Carter. This was a Disney movie that came out like 2008-ish, and it was an adaptation of the old books by Edgar Rice Burroughs, which were just fantastic sci-fi books. It's essentially Superman on Mars, and they're wonderful. And I think the first 5 books are totally worth reading. And the title of the sci-fi books, the pulp fiction books, is A Princess of Mars. And which is the first book is called The Princess of Mars, and eventually it became called the John Carter of Mars series or the Princess of Mars series. And that's a great evocative title, A Princess of Mars. And you're like, oh, what does that mean? They changed the name of the movie to John Carter of Mars because they felt nobody wanted to go see a movie with princess in the title.
Why would you?
And then they had test audiences or whatever, and they said, Mars, sci-fi isn't in right now. Let's rename it John Carter. And if you hear the name John Carter and you don't know what John Carter of Mars is, you're going to go, I don't want to go see a movie about a random guy named John.
Yeah.
The movie itself was okay.
Is it Channing Tatum?
I don't even remember. The guy like disappeared from Hollywood, I think.
Oh, okay. Someone else.
Yeah, it was someone else. But anyway, the movie was okay. They could have done better, and it was kind of that weird, awkward era where they were just getting into realistic CGI.
I'm thinking of Jupiter, whatever.
Maybe 2005.
Sorry. Right.
No, you're thinking Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah, that was Channing Tatum.
That one was okay. Anyway, John Carter. I would love to see a good adaptation of the pulp series. So, no thoughts from
Did you skip Wrinkle in Time?
No, it's on my list, but it's later.
Okay.
I'm just going to include it in honorable mentions.
Sure.
Go ahead.
My number 2 is Venom.
Ah.
So Spider-Man 3 was on the horizon. Little old me, huge Spider-Man fan, and the greatest character. And the funny thing is, I was never into villains as a kid. Like, I know a lot of people now just love all the villains in various franchises, and I was always, no, you vote for you root for the good guy, always. The good guy's always, the bad guys are bad, good guys are good. However, Venom, I loved Venom. I always loved Venom. And so when I saw that Venom was going to make his way into Spider-Man 3, I was elated. And my disappointment for my disappointment for that movie sent me into this emo spiral. I attended
Spider-Man
jazz
3?
clubs and just danced.
Of the original Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3, or
of
Venom?
the Tobey Maguire's, yes.
Okay.
And then the Venom movie
There's
was
only one
announced.
Spider-Man 3.
And then the Venom movie was announced. And at this point, I had zero hope. I had no hope.
There's only one movie called
And
Spider-Man 3.
I did
Okay.
not. Yeah, I watched it. I watched it entirely dispassionately. And then they teased, "Let there be carnage," and I was like, "No, please no, let it stop. Let Sony not ruin Carnage as well," because
And did they?
I did not watch it, but I'm planning on it. But like again, like my childhood, I didn't like villains, but Venom and Carnage
They are
were like the two
great
that were
comic
like
book
the
villains,
best
absolutely.
villains. And so yeah, Venom and Carnage.
I've never seen it. They came out with the second one, right? Was it Venom 2? Is that the
That's what I'm
Carnage?
saying.
Is
That's
that
what I'm saying. Let there be
one?
carnage. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I liked Venom a lot more than Spider-Man 3.
Well, Spider-Man 3 is a disaster. So.
And unfortunately, they kind of hinted that Venom is canonical in the MCU, the Venom movie, the Tom Hardy movie. Sad.
Mm-hmm.
Sad.
All right, Emma, what's your number 3?
Are we at number 2?
I think
No,
we're at
number
number
three.
3.
Okay, well, I'm going to say The Hunger Games, and then I have some honorable mentions.
Yeah, we'll rattle off honorable mentions after.
Yeah,
so.
I love
Interesting.
the
I love the
books.
movies, so
I especially don't like the last one.
okay.
So I don't like it when they ruin a series for no reason. Like Harry Potter Part 2.
I don't like when they split the final movie. I don't like when they do that.
Or when they split a movie or a book into
It's
three
three
movies.
giant parts.
Yes. So I thought that it could be filmed kind of differently. It was like very soft and easy to watch. I think it should have been more extreme, or you should look at where they're living in the beginning and feel something just by how they're living. You know, you see Jennifer Lawrence and you're like, well, she's not starving and she's not suffering in this like village. So I didn't think they really sold that very well. That these sections weren't as bad as they really are, because it's in the book it's like North Korea, but in the movie it's not even that bad. It's like downtown LA.
Aren't they still like shooting people? Like,
I don't know. It just didn't seem that bad, and I'm always against if they don't get like dirt on the face of the star. If she can look that clean the whole movie, I'm always just kind of like, oh, this is not good.
It's probably in her contract. Don't want to get the face
Probably.
dirty.
And I didn't like PETA, the guy who played PETA.
I didn't feel like either of the love interests was great in the films, but I thought Jennifer Lawrence did a great job.
Peter's jaw distracted me.
Yeah.
He's so
His
much
abs
shorter than
distracted
her.
me.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I also didn't like I don't like shaky cam.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of shaky.
There's a lot of that.
We never did that.
Well, I think we do it here better than we did it in that they did
There's
it in
been
that
a
movie.
sketch or two of ours that was a little.
Yeah, I think that I first watched that movie and it made me motion sick.
Yeah, I didn't feel about. Have you ever seen The Bourne Supremacy?
No.
You got to watch The Bourne Supremacy.
I don't want to
I
get
never
throw
noticed
up.
that. My dad
So
almost
Supremacy
threw up
was the worst
in
one.
Cloverfield, but I love Cloverfield.
Oh, really? That's a good movie. All right, so my number 3.
Oh, we're going up. I was kind of down.
I actually don't have a strong preference for
Sure.
ordering these.
Sounds good.
My number 3, or my final choice for our top 3, is the Star Wars prequels.
Sad.
An interesting choice, I know, a
Hear
controversial,
that, Travis?
perhaps.
You hear that, Travis?
And I say this because to me, this is the perfect movie for this kind of list. It is a movie that has excellent bones. There's a good story somewhere in there, and they just need to redo it. Well, obviously Disney won't do a good job at it. I'm just saying if there was some hypothetical world where there was a good filmmaker that was going to do the Star Wars prequels, keep George Lucas 1,000 feet away from the set at all times. Lock him in a room, whatever.
Lock Kathleen Kennedy in a room.
Let George. So here's what you need to do. You need to let George Lucas come and do a whiteboard and say, "Here's the general story," and then say, "Thank you so much, Mr. Lucas. We will be seeing you. That's all we need, you know." And they'll send him away.
Get
and
back
then
in your jacket and enter the cell.
get a good writer to write it. Get a good director to direct it. Get a good cinematographer to shoot it, and keep him away from the set. And I think the prequels just tell a great story, and I would love to see them. I have my doubt. I mean, like I have my suspicions that at some point Disney's going to do this. They'll figure out some way to reboot the prequels, and it's going to be terrible. We'll just say that up front. But if Disney didn't have the rights, if someone else had the rights to do it, I would have loved to see a good take on the prequel trilogy.
I'm just sad in general about the state of Star Wars.
Sure, I agree.
My favorite IP of all time. And
Yeah.
there's a new show out, and I have zero interest in
interest.
watching
No
it.
interest.
Zero interest.
And see, this is why I say prequels versus sequels, because I don't think the sequels need a reboot. I think they were executed well. I just think that it was a bad story. They didn't sit down and coordinate what this trilogy was going to be ahead of time.
Yeah, it's like almost like they didn't plan the scripts.
It's the opposite problem as the prequels to me. So anyway, what is your final selection for the top 3?
Was it me? I thought it was going to Emma.
I think she already did.
No,
her,
I
remember?
did mine.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've been going this way.
So my final selection. Oh, that's right. You're right. Ender's Game.
I almost picked this.
Ender's Game. This is one of those books that you pick up and you cannot put down. And the movie was just an abysmal stain on cinematic history. I remember walking through at Comic-Con, they had like the Ender's Game booth, whatever, outside. And I was walking through, looking around, and I was like, none of this is remotely close to anything that could possibly be good. But, I mean, maybe I have my own personal idea of what I want it to look like, and I kind of wanted it to look like an 80s sci-fi movie. How cool would that be if we just today made a retro 80s style sci-fi? And I can't say I'm sure, but obviously written in the 80s, Orson Scott Card probably had that type of imagery in his head, and so why not do it that way?
Yeah.
And also, make it again, but... good.
Make it again, wasn't good.
We should get Orson Scott Card on the podcast
I'd love to
and
have
ask
him
him
on.
about
Yeah,
that.
he's based.
Say, hey, how about you make it again? But good.
But, make it good. So, all right. Yeah, my wife saw that at midnight. Yeah, because she loves the book. And she came home like in tears about how bad it was. So, all right, we have a few honorable mentions before we move on to our next segment. What are your honorable mentions, Emma?
I would say the remake of, I really like the original Swedish version of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It's a 3-part series. It's very powerful. It's based on a book about human trafficking. And then they remade it into a British version. And they made the first movie, and I thought it was good, even though it took me forever to watch it because I was against them remaking it at all. And then they completely changed cast and director for the second movie. And it was a horrible mistake. And I think they should just go back to the original cast from the first movie.
So remake
the second one, completely wipe the second one off the face of the earth, and then make the third one.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about movies where I would say keep the first one in the canon.
I did. But
and
I
make a
didn't
second
do any
one.
of those.
Like The Matrix, I could say
Yeah, exactly.
remake the
That's what I
second
was
Matrix
thinking.
movie or whatever.
I was just thinking the fourth Matrix.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a movie worth watching, but people aren't going to watch it because it's in Swedish.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of the movies. I read the book.
It's really
I don't know
hard
if
to
I've read all
watch.
the books, but I haven't seen any of the movies that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it's hard to watch because it's about, human trafficking and all the torture that she goes through. But
I always feel weird about eating popcorn in movies like that. like this, I don't know.
where you're watching like a Holocaust remembrance movie.
Yeah,
and
the
you're
Passion of the
snacking.
Christ and like eating popcorn.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
kinda-
eat. Yeah.
Speaking of theater snacks, they should ban theater snacks in movies like Quiet Place.
Yeah.
And it's not like I have a personal anecdote about
Or at
that.
least judge you. Like if you're like, one ticket for Passion of the Christ, please. And then you're like, can I please have a bag of popcorn? And they're like, really? Are you sure? I just need, we've seen that. Do you have any other?
I would probably eat popcorn during anything. I also think they could do the Maze Runner again because I like that book.
It was
and
terrible.
I don't think I saw the movie either. I read the books.
I don't know.
It could be
It was
remade,
one of those. They just chose like a pretty person to do it, and
Pretty person. Who was
could
it?
have been
Who was pretty?
some guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But he's
good
not in
abs.
anything
Another good-
ever again.
Channing
It just no,
Peta?
younger guy.
You
But
just assume
PETA
every
is in that
dystopian
category.
movie stars
Oh,
Channing
Peta's
Tatum.
in it?
No, I don't think Peta's in it.
Okay.
But yeah, I also didn't like the story that they went with the Wallace and Gromit movie. I think they could
No,
have
I agree
done
with
it.
that
But
100%.
why is it a were-rabbit? That's not even spaceships or anything that.
Yeah, and Wallace and
did.
Gromit is best when they have some really silly small problem they're trying to solve and they go off and do it. Like I didn't love that it was like, I don't like when they take this thing where it's a small scope and they make it this big epic, like the Curse of the Were-Rabbit. It's, it just feels like a Halloween movie instead of a Wallace and Gromit
why is it a
movie.
Hollywood-
I-
yeah.
I agree with
Strong thoughts.
So
that about Wallace and Gromit.
there's no cheese in the movie, so how could it? Yeah.
I've never seen the movie, but
Oh, yeah, I think I remember vaguely watching it.
it
Yeah.
does require cheese.
We need more of those clay stop motion movies.
love
like Chicken
claymations.
Run. And,
Yeah.
I didn't love Chicken Run, but
Chicken Run's great.
I didn't love it. I thought it was okay.
It's a little anti-Semitic. Yeah. Not really.
What?
Wasn't Mel
It's
Gibson in
not.
that?
I don't remember. It
I
was
thought it was
voices.
Mel
Maybe it was. It was
Yeah,
just
I could be
VO.
wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you have any more honorable mentions?
Well, I did have an idea of a movie that you could remake into a live action that might work, but it's not been done. I don't think there's been an animation out there that's been remade and it's been successful.
What is that?
But if they were going to do that, then I think they could do that with Princess Mononoke and make it into a live action.
Okay.
Because I think Studio Ghibli is movies that you could put into a live action that just hasn't been done before. Except for My
Some
Neighbor
would say
Totoro.
sacrilege, but
But
interesting.
it's like
yeah, yeah.
no
I'm not
one
disagreeing with
succeeded
you.
at it, so don't do it until you've figured it out. But if you do, I think Princess Mononoke would
Yeah, if
be a
it's
good
done
movie.
well. Yeah, right. Any other honorable mentions?
No, that's
Okay. Mine are Kroll, the classic 80s sci-fi movie. I would love to see that done well. A Wrinkle in Time, which you already talked about. Star Wars Rogue One, make it with characters whose names we can actually remember. Conan the Barbarian, which, as much as the Arnold Schwarzenegger version is beloved, it does not capture the magic of the original Conan stories, which was like Monster of the Week, episodic. I'm going to go into a dungeon and steal some treasure and fight something, and a wizard's going to cast a curse on me, and I have to fight my way out. Do it as an episodic series. Monster of the Week. I would love a modern Conan. They already rebooted it, but it was bad. 1984. Like, we haven't had a good adaptation of 1984. I heard someone was remaking it, and I don't think it's going to be good, because what they were saying is like, 1984 is so related to our current themes of fake news and the attack on democracy. I'm like, oh, so you're going to do this wrong. I see. Solomon Kane. It had a movie version in like 2008. It's a fantastic property. Same author as Conan. And I would love to see a good Solomon Kane movie. And finally, Stephen King's The Dark Tower, which had a middling kind of half-butt version done a few years back. Any honorable mentions for you?
I had one on the tip of my tongue, and I forgot what it was, but I'll just go along with the list that I have. I think the Chronicles of Narnia could be refreshed.
I heard they're going to.
The latest iteration was not good, and I didn't finish it. Though the BBC miniseries is inspired cinema, with that wolf superimposed over, like, ha, 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 ha.
The man in the giant,
that was fantastic.
The man in the giant beaver suit.
I don't know if anyone's going to catch this, but High Tops. It was an old Christian musical.
I vaguely remember
That would be great.
this.
I would love to see that. And Newsboys Down Under the Big Top, but with a black lead played by Michael Tate.
They race swapped Peter Furler. Did I get that right?
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. So Hollywood, don't touch these, but if anybody else outside of Hollywood wants to reboot these, please go ahead and do it. Hi, friends. Are you worried about what you and your family will eat during the coming food shortages? Many people are. That's why they're stocking up on emergency food while they can. Go to preparewithbee.com, that's preparewithbee.com, and you'll save 20% on a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest preparedness company. You see, emergency food isn't just for the paranoid. I mean, it's for them too, but it's for the prudent. This 3-month food kit gives you a wide variety of delicious breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, over 2,000 calories a day. It feeds one person for 3 solid months, but this sale ends soon. Go to preparewithbee.com, preparewithbee.com right now, and grab your 20% savings off each 3-month kit that you need. People who laugh at emergency food won't be laughing for long. They'll be banging on your bunker door. Please give me food, give me food. You're gonna be like, nope. When the day comes and you need this food, it will be worth much more than what you paid for it. Much more. Preparewithbee.com. Preparewithbee.com. So we filmed a sketch and put it out called Californians Adjust to New Life in Texas. Now this was the first that we're actually gonna be doing in a series. I think we're gonna film 5 or 6 episodes. The second one is coming out soon. It'll probably be out by the time this is.
It's out already, right now.
You can check out the second episode right now.
Yeah.
Hey!
Hi!
Hey there!
Thanks so much for inviting us. We've never been to a real backyard barbecue before.
Your LA neighbors never invited you for a cookout?
We never met our neighbors.
You need to meet the host.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Howdy.
Hi!
Welcome.
Folks, this is Clay.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm Timpani, she, her.
I'm Steve, he, him.
Well, Timpani, she, her, and Steve, he, him. I'm Clay. Hey, Sam. Why don't you just meet these new neighbors that we have? They're the ones that Kevin was telling us about.
Yes, well, welcome to our humble little hacienda. Hey, mi casa es su casa.
Oh, I know this one.
Go.
Evato! Go Doyers! The Latinx love me. My gardener Javier nicknamed me Caranito. It means he cares. Anyway, we brought a salad. It's a quinoa kale salad with a balsamic reduction.
Jennifer Aniston ate this every day on the set of Friends.
Well, bless your heart. I'm just gonna go set this somewhere else.
Well, what'd I tell you?
They are exactly like you described them.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
I better go check on the ribs. You two have fun, you hear?
Ribs?
So I heard you guys moved back to California. Actually, is that true?
Oh, we did. But when we got there, squatters were in our homes, and by state law, we can't evict them for months. So we moved back.
That's horrible.
We had no real right to the house anyways, it being on the traditional and unceded homelands of the Tongva, Chumash, and Kitsch peoples.
Huh. Well, we are about to eat. So, we're gonna say a few words.
A land use acknowledgement.
Grace.
I don't get it.
Pray.
Oh, like the emoji!
Exactly.
Oh.
Just like that. All right, everybody. Why don't you guys come on over? Let's take our hats off. Let's bow our heads now. Lord God, Heavenly Father.
Or mother.
We just pray. Bless this meat we are about to eat in the name of Jesus.
Who was a person of color.
Everybody said.
Namaste.
All right, let's get you guys some food, huh?
Remember to take a napkin? Remember to take a napkin? You need one of those? Oh, thank you so much for coming.
You know, this line might be a little bit too long. Why don't I get you something straight off the grill?
Oh, yes.
Hey, partner, what are we working with here?
Well, we got sausages, brisket, ribs, your choice.
Do you guys have any vegan options?
Oh, that's beyond impossible.
Great, we'll take either one of those.
What he means is, it's beyond impossible to find a vegan option at a Texas cookout.
Too bad.
Oh, I guess we'll just have a bun with some ketchup on it.
I can get that.
Great. It's gluten-free, right?
Sure.
Awesome. I'm gonna need you to eat all of this. I can still hear him crying sometimes in the middle of the night. I feel bad for him. But, you know, it's nice to have him. It's nice to have somebody new in the neighborhood, you know. Just California.
Excuse me, Samantha, have you seen my husband? He disappeared a little while ago and I'm starting to get worried.
Oh, well, why, sweetie? You think this is one of those Get Out movie situations?
Of course not. Is it?
You know, I think I saw the fellas going around that side of the house. I'm sure Clay's just giving him a hard time.
Okay.
Who's y'all's favorite Batman?
This is really good. This one came from...
What have you done?
Maybe it's not what it looks like.
Eating meat.
It was an accident. It means nothing to me. I just slipped and the meat fell into my mouth. It was crazy.
I don't even know you anymore.
Baby! Don't go. Not yet.
You gonna run after?
In a minute. I just haven't had real food in so long.
Oh, man. That's all right. Now you're home.
It's so good.
Just keep on going.
It's so good. So good.
So, you're not gonna talk to me for the rest of the ride home?
Not when there's still barbecue sauce on your face.
You know what? You're right. I was wrong. In fact, I don't even deserve to be in the car with you right now. I'm just gonna get out right here and walk the whole rest of the way home.
Oh, you mean right here by this Whataburger?
What? I didn't even see that Whataburger over there. Seriously, let me out.
That's good barbecue.
That was actually, yeah. I had some thoughts about the barbecue, but I'll save that for another time.
Not good. So where did you order the barbecue from?
I think Dan got it from, I don't remember what the place is called.
2 different places.
But we did get the Texas, like it was supposed to be a Texas barbecue, and we got the brisket and had sauce on it, and I was like, wipe the sauce off, wipe it off, wipe it down.
Texans are going to be mad.
Although that is kind of a proto-hipster, like new, the new age, the new wave of pitmasters that are strictly no sauce. And there's actually only one restaurant in all of Texas that does not serve sauce.
But is it sauce on the side? Like you dip the brisket into the sauce? Or any places have it on top?
I'm a purist myself. I just do salt and pepper and sometimes Lowry's.
We also did a video called Christianity Light. Let's check that out right now.
Hey, you there. You with the Bible.
Me?
Yeah, you. Are you tired of all that God stuff? Do you want Christianity to be easier, more exciting, and less demanding on your free time?
Boy, do I.
Then why don't you throw out that old lame Christianity classic and try the very new Christianity Light.
Whoa! Wow! This is totes bussin', yo!
Christianity Light uses all the same terms as Christianity Classic, but without all that unwanted salvation from your sins and wrath of God stuff. Now you can be a Christian without everyone thinking you're a total square.
You know, I used to think you were a total square. Turns out you're not like one of those Christians who follows the Bible, bro. You're pretty cool.
All up in the club! I'm drinking alcohol. I'm saying swear words.
All right! Woo! Pro-choice!
Yo, what's up, guys?
Hey! What's up, bro?
Where the girls at?
You're like, where the...
Alcohol!
Alcohol!
And best of all, with Christianity Light, you don't even have to go to church.
Now I can have Christianity and my sin too. Thanks, Christianity Light. I'm watching Game of Thrones, and I ain't watching it on VidAngel.
Christianity Light has been endorsed by Joel Osteen, Rob Bell, Jen Hatmaker, Rachel Hollis, Oprah Winfrey, Richard Rohr, and Satan. It's the only version of Christianity with none of the guilt and judgment, but with the same great spiritual feelings. Side effects may include a sharp increase in sin, a hole in your heart you can't seem to fill, demon worship, earth worship, self-worship, diarrhea, trust in the Enneagram, drug use, supporting the murder of babies, deconstructing your faith, deconversion, posting the black square on IG, eventual atheism, agnosticism, anxiety, nihilism, judgment, Buddhism, eternal suffering, severe injury, and second death. Christianity Light is not responsible for those who suffer everlasting damnation. Check with your pastor to see if Christianity Light is right for you.
Now you are prepped for our hate mail because all the hate mail this week is comments on Christianity Light. So here's, we had a pinned comment where we said, what sins are you most excited about committing under Christianity Light? And
Jesse D. Phillips said, using the phrase, totes bussin'. Well, that's a sin. And Daryl Lee responded to Jesse D. Phillips and said, pump the brakes. Even Christianity Light has its limits there, buddy.
Oh, no, this isn't actually hate mail. This is just funny comments. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Robert Coggin said slouching.
Nope.
Oh, crap.
I just have a short torso.
Wyatt said clubbing baby seals, and Vernon said listening to Nickelback.
And Samuel Carter said ripping the tags off mattresses that are illegal to remove, or office chairs. I was so afraid of that.
And drinking Pepsi.
Ayati Extui.
All right, here's some hate mail. This is a comment on our Twitter Chaz video where we have Twitter employees form their own autonomous zone within the Twitter offices. James Stewart says, women can't be funny. Comedy 101.
Of course. This is the first lesson you learn at comedy school.
Julia Savic said, the script is all right, but the acting energy is maybe 35%. It's so boring.
From Blarnix, lowercase, you're not as funny as the Onion, and you never will be, no period.
Actually, I think the performances were great, and I think the highlight for me was Dan.
Of course.
When he says,
of course.
Someone says spaz, and he says, Lizzo says you can't say that anymore. And then he hides behind the thing. And also watching Brandon's vein actually gets another an Oscar for that performance. Your vein was popping out of your neck.
I have prominent veins. I'm aware of this. Yeah. Yes.
I think my favorite part is Claire.
I was about to say, watching this makes me miss Claire and Travis, who's still out of the office.
Yeah. And I remember Adam being very fixated on the bean can. So I was glad his bean performance finally got shown.
Right. Mm-hmm. There were actually a lot of bean references in the podcast, referencing Adam and beans, but no one really knew what it meant because that sketch had never been aired.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention it. We filmed this sketch
months ago.
Months and months ago because the Elon deal was going through, and then the Elon deal got canceled the day we were going to release it. Mm-hmm. And so we just said, well, it's dead. And literally like 2 days ago, I was like, I finally killed it, and I was like, let's get rid of this. This is never going to come out. And then the next day, it was like Elon finalizing Twitter deal, and we're like, put it out. So that was awesome.
The Texas video was actually supposed to come out, and like 30 minutes before it was about to go live, we were like, this is going up instead.
So now we're going to go into our subscriber-only portion. We have more comments from the Christianity Light video. Oh. We have a classic article of the week.
Well, there.
We have subscriber headlines of the week, and we're going to ask Emma the second set of 10 questions.
Well, then. You'll want to see that. Subscribe now if you haven't already.
Coming up next, for Babylon Bee subscribers.
we did go to a restaurant recently, and under the food items, they had descriptions of the items, and they were actually pretty funny. And one of them was like lamb offal soup, and it says tastes better than it sounds, or something like that.
Oh, those funny,
or like
those funny,
lamb,
yeah.
or like lamb innards, or lamb intestine, and it says just don't tell the kids what it is.
This has been another edition of the Bee Weekly from the dedicated team of certified fake news journalists you can trust here at the Babylon Bee, reminding you that fake news of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.